I've got a new series that I'm working on called JavaScript as a Second Language. And I wanted to give you a peek at how I'm writing these. So if you look at what's over here, it's a markdown file in a radio style format so that I can communicate with producers how I want this thing to be displayed. And so I've created a Photoshop file that has all these different screenshots. As part of creating this project, I decided to create this little sort of app. And I want to show you a trick that is a shortcut to querySelector. So here I am in my repo with the code example, and I'm going to switch over to the before branch. So I hit the period. It's going to open up a code spaces with a code swing already installed. And in here, the app, of course, doesn't look quite as exciting as the previous app, but essentially every time you shear 3 sheep, it will add $10 using the modulus operator right here. Now the interesting part that I wanted to show you is that I have all these document query selectors targeting different elements. So this one's targeting the button right here, this button. And then these other ones are targeting the count and the total. So sometimes the document query selector is a lot to type. And I really missed the way that in jQuery you could use the $sign variable. And you can recreate that by using the $sign as a variable in JavaScript. This is weird, but the $sign is an actual valid variable name in JavaScript along with the underscore. And what I can do here is set document query selector and go ahead and bind that at the document level. So I'm binding this $sign as sort of an alias to querySelector. And if I wanted to, I can also do a double $sign and bind that to querySelectorAll. Now that means that wherever I'm using document query selector, I can instead use the $sign and then target the element just like with jQuery. So this should work in exactly the same way, but it's a lot easier to read, especially on a document where you're using querySelector often. Another thing that you can do with any GitHub repo is compare 2 of your branches. And this is pretty handy when you are creating a code demo. And all you have to do is switch the URL of the current repo and add the keyword compare at the end. Then you can compare the 2 branches by just naming them and separating them with 2 periods. And that gives you a diff of the 2, which means that you can send somebody a difference between 2 branches. And this helps you give a better presentation, especially when you have to do something like live coding.